Hey everyone. I never thought I'd be that guy posting a story like this, but here we are. My name is Ethan, I'm 23, and I've been married to my wife, Madison, also 23, for just under 2 years. We met in college, had one of those whirlwind romances, and thought we were soulmates. I was so sure. I'm more of the calm, quiet type, working in IT, and Madison. She's loud, energetic, the life of the party, kind of girl. I thought we balanced each other out. For the most part, things seemed good. Sure, we had our arguments, mostly about dumb stuff like how I don't go out enough, or how she thinks I lack drive. I didn't think much of it. Every couple fights, right? Then there's my dad, his name is Adam. He's 42, ex-military, now runs a fitness consulting business. The guy is in amazing shape and somehow looks like he's in his early 30s. I've always admired him growing up. After my parents divorced when I was a kid, I didn't see him often, but in recent years, we started reconnecting. When Madison met him, she was overly friendly right from the start. At the time, I thought she was just trying to make a good impression. Dad started coming around more, helping us move, fixing stuff around the apartment, even joining us for dinner once or twice a week. I appreciated it. It felt like I was getting the father I never had growing up. But looking back, there were signs. Little things. The way Madison laughed too hard at his jokes. How she started dressing up more when he was around. How she started comparing me to him, at first playfully, then more seriously. I ignored it. You never expect betrayal to come from your own blood. So yeah, things started to feel off. I didn't want to admit it at first, I mean, come on, who jumps to that kind of conclusion? It's your wife and your dad. Two people who are supposed to care about you the most. But Madison started changing. She became distant with me. Cold. Everything I did seemed to annoy her. I'd ask her simple questions, how was your day, or want to grab dinner together tonight? And she'd roll her eyes or snap back with something like, why don't you go ask your computer? You spend more time with that than with me. Or worse. Maybe if you actually acted like a man, I wouldn't feel so alone all the time. Those words stuck. And yet, when Adam was around, she lit up. Laughing, smiling, touching his arm during conversations. It made me uncomfortable, but whenever I brought it up, she'd flip. Oh my God, Ethan, are you seriously jealous of your own father? Grow up. She made me feel like the crazy one. I started doubting myself. Gaslighting 101, I guess. What really sent my radar into overdrive was one weekend when I had to fly out for a work conference. I was only gone for 2 days. When I came back, Adam was in our apartment. Said he stopped by to drop off some supplements for Madison's workouts. She was all sweaty, said they'd just done a joint workout. At home. Alone. I smiled. Nodded. Pretended it was fine. But I didn't feel fine. So I started paying attention. I checked our shared calendar. Adam was dropping by a lot more than I realized. Sometimes when I was at work. Sometimes when I was just out grabbing groceries. I even found his cologne in our bathroom one day. Madison claimed he forgot it after helping fix the shower. Right. I wasn't ready to confront them yet. I needed to know before I said anything. I started writing things down, times, dates, little moments. Not because I didn't trust myself, but because I knew they'd deny everything. I just didn't realize how much worse things were going to get. So, like I said, I started taking notes. Writing everything down. Times when Adam would show up. Madison's mood swings. Weird little inconsistencies in her stories. I even installed a security cam app for our front door, not hidden, just one of those smart doorbells with video. I didn't even think of it as spying at first, but suddenly, I was checking the footage more than I was checking my emails. And guess what? He was always there. Almost every other day while I was at work. Sometimes for an hour. Sometimes for 5. And Madison would never mention it. Not once. One day, I asked her straight up, "Did my dad stop by today?" She barely looked up from her phone. Nope. But I'd watched him walk in at noon. And leave at 4. That was the moment I knew something was seriously wrong. But I still wasn't ready to confront them. I wanted proof. Solid, undeniable proof. So I started doing the thing every betrayed person says they'll never do. I checked her phone. Look, I know it's not cool. But at that point, I felt like I was losing my mind. And Madison? She was getting cruel. Dismissive. Picking fights over nothing. One night, she threw a wine glass against the wall because I forgot to fold a blanket. Her phone wasn't even locked. There weren't any texts between her and Adam, cleared out, probably. But what I did find were calendar entries hidden under weird names. Yoga with Bree. Brunch with Carla. Only thing is, Madison hates yoga. And hasn't talked to Carla in over a year. I matched the times with the footage. Every single one aligned with Adam visiting. Then came the kicker, a note saved in her phone under the name Dreams. It was basically a love letter, not addressed to anyone, but it talked about feeling alive again, finding passion in someone so much more manly, and how she wished she could be with him without the guilt. I stopped reading halfway through. It was like being punched in the stomach. But still. I hadn't seen them together. Not truly. And I needed that final nail in the coffin before I made my move. That moment came in the most unexpected, and painful, way possible. It happened on a Thursday night. I wasn't supposed to be home. Madison thought I had a late meeting at work, something she clearly didn't care to ask about. But the meeting got cancelled last minute, and I decided to surprise her. Maybe part of me still wanted to believe things could be fixed. That maybe I was just paranoid. She hadn't answered any of my texts that day. So, instead of heading home, I stopped by her favorite restaurant. Figured I'd get her something she liked, olive flatbread and that citrus spritzer she always ordered. When I walked in, it took me a second. I saw the back of her head first. That familiar auburn hair she always complained about but I loved. She was laughing, smiling wide. And then he leaned in. My father. Adam. He kissed her. She kissed him back. Not a cheek peck. Not a polite lean. A slow, lingering kiss. Right there in public. Like they were a couple. Like I didn't exist. I just froze. I watched them for maybe 10 seconds before something inside me snapped. I walked straight up to their table, my heart pounding louder than anything I've ever felt. Madison's face went white. Adam's eyes widened like a kid caught stealing. I said nothing at first. Just stared at both of them. Madison was the first to speak. Ethan, what are you doing here? Not, I can explain. Not, it's not what it looks like. No remorse. Just annoyance. Adam tried to stand. Son. Don't. Call me that, I said. Loud enough that people at nearby tables turned. I looked at Madison. How long? She scoffed, eyes rolling like I was being dramatic. It just happened, okay? You don't understand. You never appreciated me like he does. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was insane. She kept going. He listens to me. He makes me feel alive. You're just boring. Predictable. A little boy who hides behind screens. I turned to Adam. He had nothing to say. Couldn't even look me in the eye. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just walked out. Straight to my car. I called a divorce lawyer the next morning. I haven't spoken to either of them since. Blocked both. Changed the locks. Shipped her stuff to her mother's. It's been a week. I'm still shaking. But that was just the beginning. So, after the restaurant incident, I expected silence. And I got it, for 3 days. No calls. No texts. No, I'm sorry. Not from Adam. Not from Madison. Then came the explosion. On the 4th day, she showed up at my door. I didn't let her in. She started screaming through the door like a maniac. You're just going to run away from this. You think you're so mature, but you can't even talk like an adult. I calmly said through the door, we did talk. At the restaurant. You just didn't like what I heard. She kept yelling. Called me weak. Called me emotionally stunted. Said she only stayed with me out of pity. That Adam made her feel like a real woman. But here's where it got weird. She started crying, sobbing. Begging me to take her back. I made a mistake. Ethan, please. I didn't mean to fall for him. I didn't plan it. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then she dropped the bomb. You know what? He told me everything. About your childhood. About your insecurities. He said he always knew you'd never be strong enough to handle a real woman. That broke me in a different way. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was that he'd weaponized my past. Stuff I told him while trying to reconnect. He used my own life against me. That's when I knew, I needed to protect myself. Not just emotionally, but legally. So I contacted my lawyer again. Told him I wanted to add a restraining order if she kept showing up. The next day, I got a message from Adam. It just said, we need to talk. I deleted it. No reply. Then, my cousin Julia messaged me. She said she saw Madison, with another guy. Not Adam. Someone younger. At a bar. They were all over each other. So not even a week after declaring her undying love for my father, she's hooking up with someone else. I started to realize something, this wasn't about love. Or connection. Or even desire. This was about control. Madison needed someone to worship her. And when I stopped doing that, she replaced me. With my father. And when he failed to fix her loneliness, she moved to the next poor guy. She's not in love with anyone but herself. And Adam? He's either too blind to see it or too desperate to care. But I'm done being their victim. After the chaos of the restaurant, the door scene, and the random guy my cousin saw Madison with, something in me clicked. I stopped feeling broken. Stopped feeling like a victim. I felt angry. But not the irrational kind. The focused kind. I realized I'd been letting them walk over me for months, both of them. I kept trying to fix things, trying to believe I was the problem. But now it was time to pull myself out of this mess, with dignity. First, I sent my lawyer everything. Every message, every calendar entry, every note I'd collected. Not for revenge. For protection. We started moving faster with the divorce paperwork. Madison tried dodging the first round of papers, saying she wasn't ready. But I wasn't playing games anymore. My lawyer sent her an ultimatum, sign or we go to court, and everything becomes public record, including the affair with my father. She signed. Then came the next move, I cut off Adam completely. Blocked his number. Removed him from every social. Deleted every photo. He reached out through family members, one aunt even said, he's still your dad. No, he's not. Not anymore. Then came the twist. A woman named Claire messaged me on Instagram. Said she was Adam's girlfriend, or ex, rather. They'd been on and off for 3 years. He had told her they were exclusive. She found out about Madison through mutual connections. Claire had heard the rumors but didn't want to believe them, until she saw Madison's photos on Adam's phone. Apparently, he was showing them off. Proudly. Claire. She wasn't even mad at me. She was just heartbroken and confused. We talked for an hour. Turns out, Adam had been seeing her the same time he was with Madison. So yeah. My father cheated on his girlfriend with my wife, and then my wife cheated on him with a random dude at a bar. Classy. But here's the best part, Claire told me Adam had some serious skeletons, money problems, past affairs, even some shady business practices that could land him in trouble if someone went public. I wasn't planning to use it. But now I had leverage. And I finally felt like I wasn't drowning anymore. You ever have one of those moments where you think, should I let this go, or should I let the truth burn through everything? I chose fire. Remember Claire? My father's secret, ex-girlfriend who reached out to me. We talked again. She gave me permission to share everything she told me, as long as her name wasn't directly attached. I respected that. So I did what any wronged millennial does, I wrote a public post. Not here. On Facebook. On my personal page. Where my family, her family, and every mutual friend we had could see. I kept it calm. Factual. No name-calling. No rage. Just the truth about Madison's affair with my father. The timeline I'd uncovered. How I found out. How my father had a secret girlfriend the whole time. How Madison, after falling in love with him, was already hooking up with someone else. I ended the post with this. If this feels uncomfortable to read, imagine how it felt to live through. I'm not looking for sympathy. Just clarity. This is my story, and I'm finally taking it back. It blew up. People messaged me non-stop. Some were shocked. Others weren't. Turns out, Madison had always had a reputation in college for manipulating guys. I just didn't see it back then. Worse. I got 3 separate messages from women saying Adam had made uncomfortable advances toward them in the past. They never said anything because he always seemed charming and respectable. I guess everyone has a line, and mine was finally behind me. Madison's response? A 10-part Instagram story calling me a toxic narcissist and saying I weaponized the internet against her. Adam deleted all his socials 2 days later. I didn't reply. I didn't engage. I was done. But fate wasn't. Because just when I thought the storm had passed, something else came up. Something I never saw coming. Just when I thought the worst was over, life pulled a fast one. A few days after my post went viral, I got a letter. Yeah, a physical letter, who even does that anymore? It was from my mom. We hadn't been close since I moved out. She always had a distant, almost cold demeanor, and my dad leaving her back when I was 10 didn't help. I figured she just didn't want to be involved in the mess. But the letter changed everything. Inside, it said this. Ethan, I saw your post. I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but you deserve the truth. There's something about Adam I never told you. Turns out, my dad wasn't even my biological father. My mom told me she had a brief relationship before Adam. She got pregnant but didn't tell the real father, he had disappeared. When she met Adam shortly after, he agreed to raise me as his own. That whole time I thought we were reconnecting as father and son. It wasn't even real. I mean, the betrayal still felt the same. But now it had this surreal layer, like the universe was laughing in my face. The man who stole my wife was never even my dad to begin with. I felt weirdly relieved. Disgusted, yeah. But also, free. Like the last thread tying me to him had just snapped clean. So now I'm a 23-year-old divorced guy, recovering from a fake dad and a toxic ex, learning that half my life was based on a lie. But for the first time in months, I felt like me again. The best part? The messages I kept getting from people who read my post. Strangers. Friends I hadn't heard from in years. They said it gave them courage to walk away from their own toxic situations. That they didn't feel alone anymore. That meant more than I can explain. So yeah. That's the story. Not the kind of thing you ever expect to live through. Not at 23. Not with the people you trusted most. But here's what I've learned, rock bottom isn't the end. Sometimes, it's the cleanest foundation you'll ever get. I've got a long way to go, still picking up the pieces, still dealing with the emotional fallout, still waking up some mornings wondering how the hell this became my life. But I'm healing. I started therapy. Got back into lifting. Reconnected with a few real friends I'd pushed away while I was drowning in denial. Even rescued a dog last weekend. Her name's Nova. She sleeps by my desk while I work. And most importantly, I'm finally living for me. No more trying to prove myself to people who never really saw me. No more chasing validation from a man who wore the title, Dad, but never earned it. No more shrinking myself for someone who only loved me when it was convenient. I don't know what comes next. But I know who I am now. And that's enough. Thanks for reading. Ethan.